One moment, Finney and Tanisha were streaming and talking to their fans. The next, they were lying in the streets, dead. What looked like just another fun night out on the Vegas Strip quickly turned into a horrifying ambush, all caught live on camera. But this wasn't random. The shooter was another YouTuber, a rival who had been stalking them online and in real life. As the investigation unfolded, police would find digital breadcrumbs, eerie live streams, veiled threats, disturbing videos. People thought it was just drama for clicks, until it wasn't. Why didn't Finney and Tanisha take the threats seriously? What could have been done to stop this? Let's unpack the twisted case of the YouTube couple murdered by a jealous psycho in front of millions. It was supposed to be a celebration. Sunday, June 8th, the Las Vegas Strip was buzzing. Neon lights lit up the air like a living postcard, and the famous Bellagio fountains were putting on their usual show, soaring nearly 500 feet into the air every 15 minutes, like they always do on weekends. But this time, that countdown, it wasn't just to the next fountain burst. It was ticking towards something much darker. Rodney Finley, known to his fans as Finney the Legend, was in town with his wife, Tanisha, who went by Bubbly online. The couple had traveled from Arizona to celebrate Finney's birthday. They spent the day live streaming on their adventures, walking the strip, chatting with strangers, laughing, dancing, the kind of spontaneous, fun energy their followers had come to love. Everything about that day looked joyful, until it wasn't. Around 10:30 p.m., the live stream was still rolling. The camera was set up on a tripod, catching the city's glow. Finney looked into the lens and smiled, relaxed, in his element. But then he saw someone. A man wearing a yellow and black top, sunglasses, and a baseball cap. And from the way Finney's expression shifts, you can tell he knows him. And what happens next unfolds in a matter of seconds, but it's all caught on camera. Finney steps out of the frame. The man moves in. Tanisha is now standing between them, clearly trying to keep things from escalating. But the man doesn't stop. He maneuvers around her. And then, chaos. No warning, no shouting, just the sudden flash of a weapon. Shots ring out, fast. People scream. Some drop to the ground. The camera shakes. And then we hear it, Tanisha's voice, sharp with fear and disbelief. Are you kidding me? 2 more gunshots. Then the camera falls. The stream ends in a blur of confusion and horror. But while the live stream went dark, others kept recording. Bystander footage shows the aftermath in raw, devastating detail. Tanisha lies on the pavement, lifeless, her lower half covered by a white sheet. Just beside her, Finney is collapsed in a growing pool of blood. You can hear people shouting, trying to help, trying to make sense of what they just saw. Meanwhile, the shooter, gone, slipped away into the crowd and the neon-lit Vegas night. Las Vegas Metro Police were flooded with 911 calls almost instantly. Witnesses described the panic, the gunfire, the screaming, the people running in every direction. And then came one of the most heartbreaking calls of all. A teenage boy from Arizona. It was the couple's son. He hadn't just heard the news, he saw it live. As it happened, you can actually feel him trying to hold it together while telling the dispatcher what he just witnessed.
I was watching my dad on a video on live feed in Vegas right now, and the video cut out, but you hear my mom scream, and then you could just hear a gunshot. Just trying to see if he's okay or where he's at right now.
Are you able to reach him?
No.
It's the kind of trauma no child should ever have to live through. Watching your parents attacked on a live stream, helpless on the other end of a screen. But he wasn't the only family member who called in. Tanisha's mother was also getting worried after she tried reaching her without success.
My daughter and my son-in-law were there, and there was a shooting. I'm trying to get information is what I'm trying to do.
Another woman, also watching the stream in real time, reported the shooter. She identified him as Manuel Ruiz, known as Sin City Manny. Like Finney, he was a YouTuber running a channel called Sin City Family. But according to her, this wasn't some random attack. It was the final act of a feud that had been simmering online for quite some time.
Watch these 2 guys live all the time, and they happen to always have issues with each other.
How did it come to this? How does an online rivalry, a digital drama for clicks and views, spiral into bloodshed on one of the most famous streets in America? To understand how we got here, we need to rewind. Strip strip back the lives, the live streams, the egos, and look at what really went on behind the screens. So here's the thing, neither Finny nor Manny were huge YouTubers. We're not talking millions of subscribers here, we're talking about creators still grinding toward that elusive big break. Sin City Manny had been on YouTube for over a decade, with around 20,000 subs. Respectable, yes, but not exactly viral territory. Meanwhile, Finny had about 6,000 subscribers. He was newer to the scene, but hungry for success. But this is where things start to get messy. Now, depending on who you ask, the story behind this feud shifts. Some say it started over turf, others say it was ego, but if you talk to Daniel Gutierrez, another streamer based out of Vegas, he'll tell you it really came down to control. According to him, Manny had this reputation for trying to run the local YouTube scene like it was his personal empire, deciding who could stream where, who was allowed in certain spots, and even how people should go about their content. And it wasn't just words, there were whispers, even claims of things getting physical. One creator flat out accused Manny of punching him in the face, so yeah, the vibe? Not friendly, not collaborative, definitely not community over competition. That's when Finny entered the chat. Finny wasn't the kind of guy to sit back and watch someone push people around. Not online, and definitely not in real life. According to some, he saw what was happening and decided enough was enough. He wanted people to see Manny for who he really was. But here's the part where things stopped being just internet beef and turned somewhat personal. Derek Ware, one of Finny's close friends, said the real breaking point came when things escalated offline. According to him, Manny and his wife, who goes by Sin City Julie, allegedly pepper sprayed Finny's wife, Tanisha. She wasn't involved in the drama like that. She was just out there filming with her husband, minding her business, and she ended up getting directly targeted. Now, no one's entirely sure what led up to that moment, or what the full story was behind the pepper spray incident. But what's clear is that it crossed a line. For Finny, that wasn't something he could brush off.
I was saying, I'm just glad it was pepper spray and it wasn't bullets.
Looking back, it sounds like foreshadowing, chilling, and tragically on point. Now, at the time, Finny decided he was not going to use violence to solve this. Instead, he came up with another way to make Manny pay, and that other was YouTube. Finny went straight to his channel and started doing what so many creators in the drama space do when they feel pushed. He started exposing. And let's be clear, this wasn't just some offhand clapback or a couple of passive-aggressive uploads. No, what Finny did was dive in head first. He made it his mission. We're talking marathon streams, 5, sometimes 6 hours long, where he picked everything apart. Manny's behavior, his past, his content, even his family wasn't off limits. And Finny didn't hold back. He said Manny's name repeatedly. He made sure that every video was tied to Manny's online identity so tightly that if you searched Sin City Manny, guess who popped up right alongside him? This wasn't by accident. That was the whole point. Because for Finny, this wasn't just about venting. It was calculated. It was tactical. He wanted to make sure that if Manny's platform was rising, it was dragging a digital paper trail of drama and receipts behind it. And that if that platform happened to fall, that wasn't just collateral damage, that was the mission.
Come on, Manny. I'm finna play your over what my team's saying, and I dare you. I dare you tomorrow for my
And the deeper you dig into the timeline, the more obvious it becomes. Finny's content shifted completely. He wasn't doing lighthearted Vegas vlogs anymore. He wasn't covering city life or fun outings. He was covering Manny, obsessively. And yeah, it might sound messy, and it was, but here's the uncomfortable truth. It worked. In one 6-hour live stream alone, Finny reportedly made $150 in just the first 18 minutes. And for a channel with only a few thousand subscribers, that's major. It shows how powerful online drama can be, especially when it's personal, emotional, and feels unscripted. On platforms like YouTube, that kind of raw tension becomes a moneymaker. But while the views were climbing and the super chats kept coming in, something else was rising in the background. The pressure, the resentment, that quiet, creeping sense that this wasn't going to just live online forever. Because even if it started as content, it wasn't going to end that way. By this point, one thing was clear. Finney's trolling wasn't just getting attention, it was getting under Manny's skin. You could see the shift. Manny started popping up in some of Finney's live streams, talking back, throwing insults, even crossing the line with racial slurs. The whole thing had turned into a public back and forth, but what made it worse? The numbers. Because while Manny was losing followers, Finney was gaining them fast. And Finney wasn't shy about letting everyone know. He'd call it out on stream, showing off his growing viewership, pointing out how Manny's numbers were dropping. It became part of the performance, part of the content, and it only made things tenser. Manny, who had spent over a decade trying to build something on YouTube, started seeing Finney as the reason it was all crumbling. His content wasn't landing in the same way, his name wasn't getting the same clicks, and he blamed Finney for all of it. That's when things took a darker turn. This wasn't just internet drama anymore. This was real, heated resentment. The kind that spilled out from the screen and onto the streets. There was even a run-in between the two on Fremont Street that ended with Manny getting cited for battery. And from there, the threats started.
We don't believe in people like you, and we're going to war. I would give anything to make sure that you don't exist no more. And it's gonna happen. I promise you.
They started off cryptic, and then they got more violent.
Let me get you on a red light, Finney.
I have nothing to lose but to take you out of here.
I'm gonna barbecue your ass.
Want to take me out of here?
Mexican style. We'll chop you up in your garbage bag.
But through all of it, Finney didn't flinch, at least not publicly. He laughed it off, shrugged at the danger. To him, it was all just talk, just another troll, barking into a camera. He'd even joke about it on the stream, saying that Manny couldn't handle the heat, and that he was the reason Manny's channel was sinking while his own was taking off. And he wasn't planning on stopping. Finney had made it clear. He was going to keep going, keep calling Manny out, keep riding the wave. And if Manny couldn't deal with that, well, that was his problem. He didn't think it would ever go that far. After all, who really acts on internet beef? Unfortunately, he was wrong. A few hours before the shooting, Manny posted this video that had everybody talking. And if you've seen it, you know exactly why. He's in the car, driving around Vegas, and fans immediately clocked that he seemed to be tracking Finney's location. And not in a subtle way, like full on trying to find him by watching his live stream. And what he says in that video is unsettling.
Jerome, I'm out here searching for my baby. No. I went through every casino there is. I heard there's one of my biggest fans here in town. I'm dying to see him. Yeah.
He starts talking about going from hotel to hotel, trying to find Finney. He's making it sound like a joke, but it's giving very much stalker energy.
Come to my city and think I'm not gonna show up? You think I'm not gonna show up? I should have been the first one to be told.
At this point, the vibe is just off, and then it gets even more unhinged.
Or wherever you go, I will be there. Oh man, come on, I have to say hi to my biggest fan. I heard that jumped out of my head. He came out here so fast. What?
Now, it's not clear whether Finney or Tanisha ever saw this video before the accident, but from Finney's live stream video, you can tell that he wasn't scared of Manny. He actually smiled when he saw him, meaning he didn't think of him as a real threat. Tanisha, though, she did what so many of us probably would have done in that moment. She stepped in front of her husband, tried to de-escalate, maybe thinking the worst that could happen was some yelling, a shove, maybe even a fist fight if things got really out of control. But no one expected what happened next. Right there in the middle of Fremont Street with people watching, with phones out, with lights flashing and music playing in the background, Manny pulled out a gun and opened fire. By the time police and paramedics arrived, it was already too late. Tanisha and Finney were gone. The live stream quickly went viral, spreading like wildfire across every corner of social media. Then, the news hit the mainstream outlets, and that's when everything really exploded. Finney's YouTube channel, which had just a few thousand subscribers suddenly became the epicenter of it all. People rushed to it, not just to confirm what they'd heard, but to try to make sense of it, to understand how internet drama had spiraled into something so irreversible, so final. And the YouTube community, they were heartbroken. The grief was heavy, and so was the outrage.
It was unethical, it was stupid, and he deserved to be in prison.
People weren't just mourning, they were demanding accountability. Tanisha and Finney weren't just YouTubers. To people who knew them, they were warm, kind, the type to lift others up.
He was a good father, he was a great grandfather, he was funny. She was full of life.
But the most devastating part, the children. The couple leaves behind 4 kids who are now facing the unimaginable, life without either of their parents. Friends and family spoke about how in love Tanisha and Finney were, how they did everything together. Tanisha was described as a gentle, nurturing mom who always put her kids first. Finney, on the other hand, was the kind of dad who turned everyday moments into memories. And then there was this one message, a final text from Tanisha to her daughter.
One of the last messages I had from my mom was that she was going to be coming home tomorrow, and that she would see me tomorrow.
But tomorrow never came. It didn't take long for authorities to track Manny down. Detectives were able to piece together what happened almost immediately after the shooting, thanks to the extensive network of surveillance cameras around the Vegas Strip. Footage showed the gunman, who they quickly identified as Manny, running from the scene, heading straight toward the valet area at the Paris Hotel. And here's where it gets telling. On camera, they watched him ditch both his hat and his t-shirt, like he was trying to change his appearance. They retraced his exact steps, and guess what? They found both the hat and the shirt. But more importantly, hidden between a fence and a nearby wall, a 9mm handgun. When they ran ballistics test on the shell casings found at the crime scene, it was a match. That was their murder weapon. But then came the twist, because it wasn't just police who helped crack this case. Manny's wife, Juliana Pimentel, actually came forward and told the police her husband was responsible. Let that sink in. Later that same morning, Manny walked into a Henderson police station and turned himself in. He was taken to the LVMPD headquarters, where he gave his version of events, and it was a lot. According to Manny, he just happened to run into Finney and Tanisha while out walking the strip with his wife. He told detectives that Finney reached for his waistband and said, "What up, cuz?" in which Manny's mind meant Finney was armed. Manny claimed that's when he panicked. He said he fired a single shot into Finney's torso, and when Finney supposedly kept moving for his waistband, Manny said he aimed higher and fired again. But it didn't stop there. Manny admitted to shooting Tanisha too, because he said she had a shiny black object in her hand that he thought was a gun. Las Vegas police did not buy it.
I think it's probably garbage. There's no indication from any of the evidence at all that self-defense would be a viable defense. No weapons were found near the victims.
And none of the live stream footage showed them holding anything remotely resembling a weapon. So Manny told investigators he panicked. He claimed that when the cops started rushing in, he freaked out, said he hid the gun in the Paris Hotel parking garage, and then hopped in a rideshare over to New York, before walking to a friend's place. And that friend told him point blank, "Turn yourself in." Now here's where things get real dicey. Manny said he didn't even know the Finleys were live streaming at the time. He also denied ever threatening Finney, which, let's be honest, doesn't exactly line up with the months of videos, live streams, and finger gun gestures we've already seen online. He kept pushing the self-defense angle. That is, until detectives hit him with the smoking gun, the live stream, the actual footage, the same one that the internet had already dissected and replayed frame by frame. And in that video, it was clear. Manny wasn't backing away. He wasn't in danger. He was advancing, closing the distance while actively firing shots. It wasn't fear, it was aggression. And that's when the tide turned. Police had what they needed. This wasn't a split-second decision. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was deliberate. It was personal. It was premeditated. And once Manny saw the video, once he realized the truth was literally caught on camera, he got quiet, frustrated, and then asked for a lawyer. As of June 13th, Manny is sitting behind bars with no bail, facing facing 2 counts of open murder. But even though he's locked up, some folks online aren't letting this rest just yet. A lot of people are asking, what about Julie, Manny's wife? She was right there when the shooting happened. Some say she knew what he was about to do and didn't try to stop him. So now the question is, should she be held accountable too? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Is this all on Manny, or does Julie have blood on her hands too? And if you thought this story was dark, wait till you see what I've got coming up next. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss a thing.